You talk every day. You send messages. You share updates about work, about errands, about small frustrations. On the surface, the relationship looks fine. There are no dramatic fights, no explosive arguments. And yet, something feels slightly distant. Conversations feel functional instead of warm. You sit next to each other, but the connection feels thin. Sometimes misunderstandings appear over small things. A tone that feels sharper than intended. A delayed reply that feels heavier than it should. Nothing major happens, but over time, small moments accumulate. You begin to feel like you are speaking, but not fully heard, or listening, but not fully connected. It is easy to assume that you are just not good at relationships, that maybe you are too sensitive or too detached. But most people were never taught emotional regulation. They were taught communication skills, maybe, but not nervous system awareness, not how tone affects trust, not how small reactions shape safety. Relationships are not built only on words. They are built on micro signals. Your breathing speed, your eye contact, your timing. Nervous systems constantly co-regulate. When one person becomes reactive, the other often follows. When one person softens, the other often relaxes. In Japan, there is a strong cultural emphasis on WA, harmony. Emotional containment is valued. Subtlety often replaces intensity. Disagreement may be expressed, but in measured tones. The goal is not suppression, it is stability. You do not need to talk more. You need to react differently. Connection grows in calm space. It is tempting to respond immediately when something triggers you. A comment feels slightly critical, and your body tightens. A misunderstanding appears, and you rush to correct it. The faster you respond, the more you feel you are protecting yourself. But instant reaction often escalates tension instead of resolving it. When emotions rise, your nervous system shifts into defense. Your voice changes subtly. Your facial muscles tighten. Even if your words are reasonable, your tone may carry urgency or sharpness. The other person senses it, even if they cannot name it. Their nervous system responds in kind. Emotional contagion begins. In many Japanese conversations, there is often a slight delay before responding, especially in moments of disagreement. Silence is not automatically uncomfortable. It is space. That space allows emotions to settle before words are chosen. The response becomes measured rather than reactive. You can practice a simple shift. When you feel the urge to respond immediately, take one slow breath first. Just 3 seconds. Inhale, exhale. Let your shoulders drop slightly. Then speak. That tiny pause changes the energy of your reply. Pause protects connection. It prevents momentary emotion from becoming lasting damage. You may not notice it, but when tension rises, your voice often rises with it. The volume increases slightly. The pace quickens. Words begin to overlap. Even if you are not shouting, your vocal intensity shifts, and tone, more than content, shapes how your message is received. The nervous system is highly sensitive to sound. A louder or sharper tone signals potential threat, even when the words are neutral. The other person may become defensive without consciously understanding why. Once both nervous systems are activated, the original issue becomes secondary. The interaction becomes about emotional survival rather than understanding. In Japan, conversational tone tends to remain softer and more measured, even during disagreement. Emotional restraint is not about suppression. It is about preventing escalation. A slightly lowered voice communicates stability. Stability communicates safety. You can experiment with reducing your vocal intensity by 10% during important conversations. Speak a little slower. Weakens connection is trying to fix, too weakens connection is trying to fix too quickly. When someone shares frustration or sadness, the instinct is to offer advice. Solutions feel helpful. But often, what the other person needs first is validation. When advice comes too quickly, it can feel like dismissal. Psychologically, people regulate through being understood. When their emotions are mirrored back accurately, the nervous system settles. Once calm returns, solutions become easier to accept. In many Japanese listening styles, there is emphasis on attentive presence, small nods, short acknowledgments, listening fully before responding. The goal is not to dominate the conversation, but to absorb it. You can practice reflecting back one sentence before offering advice. For example, "It sounds like that was really frustrating." Then pause. Let them confirm or clarify. This small act of reflection builds safety. When people feel heard, they soften. And when they soften, connection deepens. Small boundary violations often go unnoticed, but they accumulate. Interrupting mid-sentence. Making plans without asking. Sharing personal details publicly without permission. Each act may seem minor, but over time they chip away at psychological safety. Trust grows when people feel respected. And respect is communicated through attention to micro-boundaries. When someone's preferences, timing, or emotional limits are acknowledged, they relax. When those limits are ignored, even subtly, tension builds. In Japan, personal space and indirect communication are often used to preserve harmony. Instead of assuming, people frequently imply or ask gently. There is awareness that not every preference needs to be overridden for efficiency. Sensitivity is not weakness. It is relational intelligence. You can begin by asking before assuming. Is this a good time to talk? Are you okay if I share this? These small questions take seconds, but they communicate care. They say, your boundaries matter. Gratitude is another quiet force in relationships. Over time, appreciation often becomes silent. You assume the other person knows you value them. But unspoken appreciation slowly weakens emotional reinforcement. Positive reinforcement strengthens bonds. When specific actions are acknowledged, the brain associates the relationship with reward. It does not require grand gestures. It requires consistency. In Japan, expressions of thanks are woven into daily life. Small acknowledgments before and after meals. Polite appreciation for routine efforts. These rituals keep gratitude visible. You can practice offering one specific appreciation each day. Not generic praise. Something concrete. Thank you for handling that call. I appreciate how patient you were earlier. These statements reinforce connection. Relationships thrive not on dramatic romance, but on steady respect and visible appreciation. When conflict happens in public, something shifts. The presence of others adds pressure. Voices may rise slightly. Defensiveness increases. What could have been a small private conversation becomes amplified by audience. Even subtle tension in public can create embarrassment, which lingers longer than the original issue. Containment is a powerful relational skill. It does not mean suppressing problems. It means choosing the right space for them. When heavy topics are saved for private moments, both people feel safer expressing themselves honestly. In many Japanese social settings, public harmony is carefully maintained. Disagreements are often addressed later in more controlled environments. This is not avoidance. It is preservation of dignity. Emotional exposure is treated with care. You can practice delaying serious conversations until you are alone and calm. If something triggers you in public, make a mental note and return to it later. Let's talk about this when we get home. That delay protects both of you from unnecessary escalation. Another quiet but powerful habit is shared silence. Many people assume connection requires constant conversation, but comfortable silence is often a deeper sign of trust. When two people can sit together without filling every gap, it means their nervous systems feel safe. In Japanese culture, silence is not automatically awkward. It can be respectful, thoughtful, even intimate. Shared quiet moments. Walking side by side, drinking tea, sitting in a room without speaking, strengthen nonverbal bonds. You can experiment with 5 minutes of quiet together. No phones, no television, simply sitting or walking. At first it may feel unusual, but over time, silence becomes connective rather than uncomfortable. Not every bond is built on words. Some are built on presence. Grand gestures are memorable, but consistency is stabilizing. A dramatic apology may repair a rupture, but predictable small kindness builds security. When someone knows what to expect from you, a steady tone, a reliable check-in, a gentle touch, their nervous system relaxes around you. Unpredictability creates subtle anxiety. If affection appears randomly and disappears without explanation, the other person remains slightly guarded. But when kindness is steady, even if small, it builds emotional safety. In Japan, consistency is deeply valued. Daily routines are respected. Small gestures are repeated. A simple greeting at the same time each day. A quiet cup of tea shared in the evening. These repeated acts create rhythm. Rhythm creates stability. You can choose one small weekly ritual with someone important to you. It could be a short walk together every Sunday, a message every morning, a shared meal without phones once a week. The size of the gesture does not matter. The predictability does. Relationships improve not because you become more charismatic, but because you become more regulated. Micro shifts compound. A 3-second pause, a softer tone, a question before assuming, a daily thank you, a protected private conversation, a few minutes of shared silence, a consistent ritual. These are not dramatic transformations. They are quiet recalibrations. You do not need to become more charming. You need to become steadier. Stability creates intimacy. When your nervous system softens, your relationships deepen.